Hey, it's Johara. Welcome back to my channel, to the Witchy Reader. So I'm going to be talking about what I read in what month did we just pass? July. so um, I read 6 books, I believe. So not too bad. And a lot of books I read were like over 300 pages. So I'd say not too bad. Um, so I read books 2, 3, and 4 of the Warriors of Bria. So I read book one a couple months ago, but then I got busy and I just found it hard to finish the series. But I finally took time and finished it, and I loved it. I'm so excited for book five whenever it's out. Um, I'm Book five is supposed to be the last book from what I hear. Um, there may be some prequels or sequels or novellas. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm excited for book five. This was really good. Um, Basically, book one, which I read a few months ago, was about Lauren and Val. Lauren just got transported into another world, and she finds out that her mom's actually from that world, but was transported to our world, which is where she grew up. So now she has to adapt to this new world, but she meets Val right on his back, and they immediately they help each other. And but then this war has started, and there's this evil villain, and Lauren is at the center of it all. If you like Avatar: Last Airbender, you like this because there's different. They're not called benders; they're called warriors, but it's all based off the element. And then there's the night warrior, which is a bit different, and there's more than one, but they are very rare. Which Lauren is a night warrior, which is basically this world version of the Avatar. Only there's more than one, but they are very rare. It's very hard to find a night warrior, and so Lauren finds herself having to save this world. And in book two, where's book two? My books got all out of order. Book two was about them looking for the Master of Night, uh, a Master of Night, so that they could, so that somebody could teach Lauren. Um, but then at the end of that book, Lauren and Val got transported to our world, where she's from. So this one is a lot about them having to and trying to find a way back home, um, as their feelings progress for each other. And then book four, they, because at the end of book three, um, Val's brother, because in book one it was just Lauren and Val's POV, but then book two they added Valora, who is Val and Vaden's sister, and then this one was added Vaden's point of view. Um, I'm trying to remember if there was a different point of view added in this book or not, because I don't remember, to be honest. I don't know. But in this book, so at the end of this one, they Vaden finally returns home to since because he left with Lauren and Val to find the Master of Night, and when the two of them were transported, he hoped they were transported back to Bria. They were not, and when he finally got there at the very end of this book, his his country was kind of overrun. So in this book, Lauren and Val finally return, and Vaden is trying to host this underground thing, trying to save his country, his kingdom, and keep the people that he has safe. And when Val and Lauren return, that becomes Val's responsibility because he's the heir of the throne and the one that's supposed to be in charge. Um, and yeah, and Lauren and Val finally confess their feelings. It's not exactly happy ending yet, but I'm still hoping they'll find a way through this. But yeah, um, so that's kind of the premise of each book. And in the final book, they're going to obviously have to finally defeat the Asterin, I think her name is. But also back to the whole After Last Airbender thing. Um, there's this one character in book one. She is brought back for book three. She's slight spoiler. She does die at the end of book one, so she comes back more as like a spirit. But when I was reading book one, she gave me serious Toph vibes for any Toph fans. Okay, for a few reasons. One, she's an Earth warrior, like Toph. Two, her personality is just a lot like Toph, especially when she's trying to train Lauren and Val. My laptop's gonna die, so give me a second while I plug it in. But when she was trying to train Lauren and Val, it reminded me of with Toph was trying to train Aang, okay? And and then there was also this one comment either Val or Vadin was saying this to Lauren that it is rumored that she knows that why she's unbeatable is because she knows she can feel everyone else's movements through the earth. Um, and that's obviously Toph's blind, and that's how she's so good and how she's able to earthbend because she can feel their movements through the earth. And I'm like, that is Toph right there. Like she is Toph. And if you've seen, and she's a lot older, obviously. So if you've seen Legend of Korra, Toph is still the same Toph, and she reminds me a lot of Toph. Like she is Toph. So yeah, if any fans of Avatar: Last Airbender, definitely check out this series. Highly recommend. Um, I'm trying. Vadin is a fire warrior. Val is an earth warrior like Jaheira, who's the one that reminds me of Toph. Then in book two, yeah, book two, someone is introduced as a water warrior. I can't remember his name now. It's Am. His name is Am. He's a water warrior. Um, I don't think I can't remember off the top of my head if there's been an air warrior yet. But yeah, and then there's Lauren, who's the night warrior and very different than any of them. So yeah, um, but that is that series. But I also read books two and three of the Mantis variant, or I think it's called. I think the book one is called Mantis variant. I think the series title is the Mantis Clan. So books two and three of the Mantis Clan. Um, I read book one at the end of last month for Pride Month because there's queer characters. And I loved it. It was a little bit outside of my comfort zone because as much as I love horror movies, I haven't really experienced much in the horror genre when it comes to books. As you probably know, for those of you that's not new to my channel, I am a fantasy girl, and that will always be my favorite genre. But there are a few books I want to experience outside of fantasy, but it's still gonna be not too far off. Like I'm not gonna get into like romance or contemporary. Like that's just not for me. But mystery. There's a mystery series I want to try. There's another horror book I want to try that I've been meaning to read for a while. And then there's a uh I can't think of it, but there's like something else I wanted to read. Oh, there's another book that's also a little bit outside my comfort zone. I plan to read this month. But yeah, uh, but that's only a very small portion because most of the books I want to read are still fantasy because fantasy is my favorite thing. But I am excited to experience some of these other things as well because I do like mystery and horror in TV. So I'm going to try to experience them in books as well. Because when I watch TV, my I don't just watch fantasy, okay? It's still my favorite genre, but there's a lot of other shows I watch that are far from fantasy, like comedy and stuff, which I would never read in books. Um, but like Pretty Little Liars is one of my favorite shows, and it's fantasy. It's not fantasy. Why did I say fantasy? It's mystery. And then obviously, I'm a huge horror person. Like I absolutely love several horror movies like Scream and Nightmare on Elm Street and Hansel Gretel, Witch Hunters, Truth or Dare, Ouija, and yeah. So and The Conjuring are thriller movies. Those are some of my absolute favorites. So yeah. Um, but anyways, back to the Mantis Fan series. I read books two and three this month, and they were amazing. Just like book one. So this year I don't have the physical copies because the author, who's amazing, sent me our copies of each of his books. First it was just book one, and then I was like, I can't wait for books two and three now. He's like, I can send it to you. And I'm like, you know what I'm here for? Because I want I want books two and three now because I didn't want to wait. I did finish. I did end up reading Warriors of Rhea first because I did start it first, and I did want to see how it turned out. But I was so excited to get back into this one as well because both these series are amazing. Um, so this series is horror and it gets very, very gruesome and there is some cannibalism. So fair warning if you make sure you're okay with that if you're gonna get into it. Okay, it can get gruesome. Um, so beware. Just warning you. But if that is your type of thing, then definitely check it out because it is amazing. Um, basically, there's these people that has come out with superpowers, and they have this mantis gland in their brain, and if you can steal their power, and there are people that think they're inhumane, and if you can basically smash their heads open and eat their brain and if you eat the mantis gland, you can get their powers. Um, so yeah, so it's kind of a horror dystopian thing because the world is also kind of messed up. Um, but in book one, the mantis variant, was mainly about three characters: Agrel, Dozy, and Elia. I hope I'm saying all those names right. um, Agrel, I'm sure I'm saying right because I spoke to him on my one of my author interviews, and we talked a little bit about Agrel because she was my favorite character. She's still definitely up there. She's definitely one of my favorites in this entire series, and she's definitely my favorite in book one. I love her. But Agrel is from a cult, but she didn't realize how bad the cold was until she was forced to. This isn't much of a spoiler because it happens literally in the very first chapter, but she's forced to watch her cousin, I think it was cousin, get murdered for being one of these superpower people, which they call shifts, um, and then was basically forced to eat his mantis gland. So yeah, and then so she ran away from the cult, and then Dozy doesn't have any powers. She meets Agrel and the two, and she can tell Agrel doesn't really belong, so she kind of takes her in. And then um, they meet Elia and Agrel, who's always quick to help people, like without even thinking about her own well-being, was quick to help her because she was kind of shot down. She was flying because she is a shift, and the three of them formed this found family. They also end up meeting this mystic and his husband because the mystic heals people and Elia was injured, so they needed his help. And then, but then they were there was a storyline where they were worried about their daughter, who's a bioshift. Biological shifts are people whose powers end up being so strong that they started to transform how they looked on the outside. The Haris had like green skin, scales, stuff like that. A tail, I think, if I remember correctly. So yeah, and Agrel ends up immediately wanting to help Lahari, and I shift them. Just to let you guys know, I really like their bond. And then in book two, you meet a couple. You get to see them again, Dozy and Elia, and the Mystic and his husband, and Auntie Peg, who has a bigger role because she was introduced in book one, but she had a very small role, and she's introduced again in book two, um, where she has a slightly bigger role, and then she has an even bigger role in book three. So I'm excited to see her more as well because she was a great character. And you meet a couple other characters, including someone who met them 6 months ago, because it's a year later from the events at the end of book one. And then you meet a little boy as well who is from a very reserved town and is also a shift. So and this is the book I think with it is with the a drag show. So because Auntie Peg is a drag queen, and there was a drag show, and that was a lot of fun. I have never been to a drag show, so this was the closest I've ever been, other than this one movie I did see because my dad liked the movie and he owned it. Um, my sisters were obsessed with it when they were younger. I, I forgot what it was called, but it was a fun movie or a fun chapter to read about, and um, but there's thing, this war has kind of started, and because there are a bunch of bioshifts that Lahari knew that are, and Lahari kind of joins them at the end, and are killing people who try to kill ships and bioships. So they are starting this uprising, and then there's this huge battle at the end, and one of the new characters we met gets hurt, and it looks like she was gonna die, but thankfully she didn't. And it was this whole huge war. Then book three, you meet a couple new characters again, and there were four new characters. Two of them met pretty early on, and then they traveled here, and you get to see how they came to this town, and you find out that they were actually a part of the war, the big fight that happened at the end of last book, but we hadn't met them yet, so we didn't know. And then two other characters who's always kind of known each other, and who's kind of grew up together in a way, and they escaped their own version of a cult, basically. And so this found family has become even bigger. And now Auntie Peg has a partner as well that we got to meet, and everyone is trying to rebuild their town after the big fights at the end of the last one. And but a war has kind of started, so that's going to be interesting for book four. Um, I'm really excited for it. I'm going to be better reading book four, and I'm so excited because I need to find out what happens. Um, the and especially after the end. Like, I don't want to spoil too much, so I'm not going to say exactly what happened, but let's just say this war has escalated, and yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun for book four. But yeah, so I read, finished Warriors of Bria, at least was published, and finished was published of Mantis Gland series. And both were phenomenal reads. I'm so excited for the next installment, both. Book 5, I have no idea when it's going to be published. Um, but book like I said, book four I'm supposed to be better reading it, and I think that's gonna be this month. So I'm gonna take a guess that it's gonna be published by next month, but I might be wrong, so don't hold me to that. I also started B. Uh, I wanted to finish this over July, but I wanted to read it last weekend over the last weekend, but I am not feeling too well on like Friday and Saturday, and then no Saturday I didn't feel well this weekend, and then yesterday on the 31st I was going to read it all in one day, but then I ended up having a very busy day, and then today I had a pretty busy day, so I couldn't get any reading done either. But I did start it. I am very much enjoying it. Um, and I'm excited to continue it. Uh, I really like it so far. I'm not very far into it, but I am just having a blast with it. So I plan to finish it within the next couple of days, depending on how busy I am and stuff. Cause tomorrow I have plans, I think, and then Thursday I think I have plans, and then Saturday I have plans. I mean, tomorrow my plans are pretty early in the morning, so I depending on how the day goes, I should have time to read. But then Friday I'm free completely that day. Saturday my plans are more in the evening because at my author interview, so I will have time earlier in the day. But then Thursday, um, I'll probably be busy the entire day. So yeah, but I am loving this book so far, and I'm so excited to continue. And just wanted to let you guys know that I did start this, and if I had been feeling well over the weekend, and not so busy, then I definitely would have finished it within those couple of days because I am enjoying it. It's just life gets in the way sometimes. But yeah, so I definitely plan to finish this hopefully this week. Like I said, I might be busy a lot this week, but I'm hoping I still can finish this despite me being busy, but we shall see. So at least by this weekend, like Sunday, I want it to be done, hopefully. But apparently I have a very busy week, so it all depends. But yeah, I definitely recommend both series. If you like fantasy and Avatar: Last Airbender, read Warriors of Bria. If you like horror and cannibalism and dystopian settings, and found family and queer representation, read the Mantis Class series. Both amazing reads, both very different, but both very amazing, and I highly recommend both. So thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment what you read this month or last month, and let me know if you want to read either of these series. I definitely highly recommend them both, and I'll talk to you guys next time.